Pluto or Scorpio in the fourth house, people may actually hide from their feelings and all ancestral family trauma that they've acquired by becoming super rigid and disciplined, right? And suppress their feelings so that they don't arise. But in doing so, they actually give them more power to suppressed emotions, and they start ruling their lives even more indirectly, subconsciously. So when it comes to your fourth house relates to your family, home, your ancestral trauma, belief systems, your pretty much legacy, right? Whatever you've acquired from your ancestor. It also represents the early childhood upbringing. Pluto is very obsessive, controlling, and dark. Having it in your fourth house may imply that you had some traumas that stem from your childhood, from your family. You're just simply not willing to look at, and you're just like wanting to suppress them, but they're actually running your life. All of those subconscious motivations are still making an impact and influencing your daily life. You may consciously reject it, but subconsciously it's happening. Now why? Because fourth house is a house of Cancer. It's a moon, right? It's one of the focal points in our chart. It's the IC, right? Imomokoeli, which opposes the midheaven, the highest point in your chart. So Imomokoeli pretty much signifies the past traumas from your ancestors, and having Pluto here, that means, damn, there's like a lot of traumas in your family that you like to neglect because they don't make you feel good. And fourth house, is also Cancer, right? It's a water sign. Pluto is an underworld, also water planet. So it makes sense. It just gives you extreme ways of suppressing your emotion, as opposed to someone who has Pluto in the fifth or third. In the fourth house, it's like a double, a house that is ruled by water sign, and then a Pluto that is, a water planet. It's too much happening. They also experience some traumas, in their family and home and family. And whenever they try to build their family, their own family, they may not feel at ease at home. I mean, constantly think that others are thinking bad stuff about them or trying to manipulate them. Whoever lives with you in the house, if you have this place. And inadvertently, these people try to step up their game of manipulation so that, they don't get hurt. Because when it comes to Pluto, all Pluto does, it's an aspect of your personality, is to preserve you from getting hurt by other people. So fourth house is your environment, early upbringing. So something may have really triggered you when you were a child, and now as an adult, you're trying to actively escape or avoid similar experiences. So it's really difficult for these people to form families or, get married. Because, whenever they share a common space, a house with someone, even someone they love, the mundane things, right? That's where the early traumas being triggered the most. If it's an unevolved Pluto in the fourth house or Scorpio in the fourth house, they turn to their tactics of manipulation. And it's all subjective, mind you. They just subjectively think that people are just out to get them or there's danger out there. But in reality, there's no danger. Danger is subjective, that was imprinted on your subconscious mind based on the environment that you were born in, okay? And now you can't fully relax or live at peace or create your own home and family environment because all of those past traumas are going to come to the surface and mess up, a wet dream. And the reason why, they tend to manipulate, right, is because they feel very vulnerable at home. So whatever environment you grew up in, you still struggle. Even if you don't live there anymore and you live by yourself, you may still struggle with those memories. They may get triggered from, time to time, and you may still not feel safe in your house. And whenever you feel vulnerable, the defense mechanism takes place. I'm crying because I'm eating taki. But the thing is that, Pluto, wherever it's placed, is pretty much, we're afraid of our own destruction. And in the fourth house, it implies destruction by a ghost or paranormal activities happening in the house, or boogeyman living under your bed. I mean, maybe when you were a child that was the case, but it still kind of makes you feel uneasy and very vulnerable in your own home. So for those who have Pluto in the fourth, Pluto usually destroys death and rebirth, and being in the fourth house may have destroyed your family or upheavals in the domestic sphere, right? That greatly impress your subconscious mind. It may collapse your family structure, right? But it also it's very traumatic. Let's say your parents divorce, and as a child you carry all that burden as a child, and it's very difficult. But at the same time, it gives you a potential to rise above that, to learn from those experiences and become a completely different person. Those experiences in domestic sphere, destruction, death and rebirth, all of those things related to Pluto are affecting you. Even if you don't live with your parents anymore, even if you don't, have the same atmosphere anymore, environment, you are still being affected in your adult life unless you become conscious, okay? This placement is very healing, a person can literally just through traumatic experiences in their home and family, can wake up, get enlightened, and completely change themselves, their thinking, their worldview, and everything, which is a very powerful placement. Pluto people are very powerful, but they don't become powerful unless they go through something. And based on where your Pluto is placed, we're going to know what exactly you likely might have gone through, right? Now, another thing when it comes to the fourth house represents your father, and having Pluto there implies the image that you had of your father, okay? And the image of the father that you may had was dark, manipulative, or father was simply absent. Have experienced your father. I mean, that's how you saw him, as very powerful and very dark, even threatening. On the other side, these fathers, kids see them as very powerful and courageous, so it can go both ways. It can be either a manipulative father, or it can be a very courageous, bold, and the one that you look up to because, of how strong your father was. So it can go both ways, really. Because 10th house, right? 4th house, 10th house, the opposition. 10th house represents your mother, and your 4th house represents your father. Pluto in the 4th is not a good indication. It also shows daddy issues, really, and that become prominent in your relationship. Let me know what kind of image of a father you have. This is going to define a lot. And one final thing I'm going to say about Pluto in the 4th house is that, Pluto indicates endings, and the way those endings happen are pretty harsh. Endings that will change your life pretty much and are irreversible. Pluto in the 4th house are probably faced in their life to end certain phases, okay? Friendship, relationship with their family, and it can be very hard to do. But this very thing, breaking up, leaving people, removing oneself from a group of people or environments that you used to belong to, is actually very healing. And those are the experiences, the endings, right? The destruction to your world, the world that you knew of, the world that you got comfortable with and got used to, is what's going to prompt you to, enlighten yourself and to heal from all past trauma. You may be someone who is cutting off people because they don't serve a purpose anymore in your life. And it may be harsh on paper, but you know deep inside that this is what you need for a transformation, because death and rebirth means we experience the ending, right? Death, and then we rebirth as a new individual with new consciousness, new worldviews about the situation. So yeah, I hope this really helps you, and please let me know in the comments what you think, if this resonates. But I will be covering Pluto through the houses this week. I'm gonna go over all 12 houses, and yeah, please let me know what other videos you want me to make. I'll probably be making Neptune and Uranus. Let me know if you're interested in those. But yeah, if you like my content, do not hesitate and smash a follow button. I would be very, very happy to see you. Follow me on my page so that you don't miss, the videos. I'm gonna be more consistent this time because I was going through some shit. But yeah, we're gonna cover all the planets through the houses within probably a month or two. So yeah, please leave DM me, leave comments about your suggestions, and I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.